Hey folks, welcome back to Out in the Open. With me is Will Daskal, and Will is the chapter vice president of the Broadhead chapter, Trout Unlimited. When I heard about this HB1565, this bill that was just passed the House and is going to the Senate, whether or not it goes through the Senate, it's likelihood it's not going to, but we need help, to try to defeat this bill. If you're on that side, and I say that only because to every issue and every question, there's kind of two sides to every question, and there's people on this side have one way of looking at it. People maybe on the other side, like if you're a builder or realtor or something else, they're on the other side looking at this same question. So that's what it's all about. And I thought, well, let's have someone from Trout Unlimited come in, and Will was kind enough to come in and talk about this and explain this bill, just so you have an idea when you read about it in the paper, what's going on. But Will, what's the basis for this?
Well, the first thing we have to do is put this into plain English so people understand what's going on. It talks a lot about this riparian buffer zone, and basically what it is, it's an area of vegetation that grows alongside the stream between the land or the agriculture or the building development and the stream itself. Currently, under the law as it exists, that zone is 150 feet wide. What this bill proposes is that, as it's amended with Amendment 4116, is that if the builder is going to remove a section of the riparian zone, he can substitute another equal one-to-one riparian buffer zone somewhere else in the watershed. Our concern, and today I'm not representing the chapter, I'm speaking for the entire State Council of Trout Unlimited, which represents over 13,000 men and women in 48 chapters. Our position, very simply, is that what if you build that substitute buffer zone downstream from the area that you're affecting by the project building?
And we have to go back just a step, just a little bit, and just mention that when we talk, for people who don't know what a watershed is, but the watershed could be 20, 30, 50 square miles, 100 square miles. It depends on the side of the size.
What we're talking about is the point where the watershed actually begins, which we call the headwaters, and those headwaters are usually pristine locations. Our concern is with streams which are classified as exceptional value or high quality. These streams are so pristine that they have natural reproduction of wild trout. We don't want to lose that. That's what brings tourists here. That's what brings fishermen here. That's what brings bird watchers, hikers, picnickers, swimmers, kayakers, canoeists who want to enjoy. This isn't just about fishing. It isn't just about Trout Unlimited. It's about everybody who lives, comes to Pennsylvania, who enjoys the watershed, who wants to see it kept in a good, pristine manner. We're not anti-building. We're not against builders. All we're saying is there needs to be a sane balance between what the builders want to do and what we need to do in order to protect the watershed. Ironically, a lot of the changes that could be affected by the building of these projects, if these buffer zones are not adequately dealt with, these effects may not show up for 50 or 100 years. So it's not that it happens in immediate time. It could happen in much longer time frame, or what we used to call geological time. So we want to deal with these issues now. We'd like to have a seat at the table so that we can discuss what the things are that need to be addressed. And all the decisions that we make in Trout Unlimited are based on science. It's never based on hyperbole. It's never based on scare tactics. We don't hire lobbyists to promote a particular point of view. What we do is we test, we analyze, we look at the data, and the data is clearly supported by Penn State University, Stroud Water Management, etc.
Now, this is not just Trout Unlimited looking at this situation, but you have the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Foundation, or the Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
Penn Woods, League of Women Voters, a whole litany of outdoor, even the Pennsylvania Department of Natural Resources. We have the Fish and Boat Commission.
Yes. Yeah, they're opposed to the change, and I think that's what we're looking at is the change. We just want to leave it as it is, right?
The science says that having these buffer zones is good for everybody, everyone who wants to enjoy the watershed, not just the people who are going to recreate in it, fishing and hunting, but people who are going to do things like the boating, the camping, etc. Bird watching. My wife loves to bird watch. We love to go into the woods to do that. Everyone is affected by this. And think about the tax dollars that are involved. these recreational outdoor activities generate over 84,000 jobs in Pennsylvania. It's actually 84,000, I think 120 jobs. And it generates $770 million in tax dollars that come into the state. It would be foolhardy, it would be idiotic to do anything that would denigrate this resource. So all we're saying is, let's protect these headwaters, let's deal with these buffer zones in a very sane, logical way, because the buffer zones, they prevent flooding. They help to absorb phosphorus and prevent runoff into the stream. They help to prevent sedimentation in the stream. They improve the stream quality. They help sustain populations of fish, because if the streams are in good condition, you have a good sustainable population of macroinvertebrates. That's what feeds the fish. Plus, think about these riparian buffer zones as travel corridors for all the wildlife in Pennsylvania. You know, in the state, the last data that we have going back to 2011 is that there were, between out-of-state and Pennsylvania hunters and fishermen, more than 1 million licenses being sold. All of that generates approximately $2.75 billion, with a B, dollars in revenue that comes into the state. Now think about a store like Dunkelberger's. All of the stores that are affected, if our streams go to pot, then you're going to have motels and hotels adversely affected. You're going to have local restaurants adversely affected, because people aren't going to want to come here. They won't want to live here, because the streams that would have been the draw will have been denigrated to the point where they're no longer sustainable as EV and HQ waterways.
And what we're talking about basically is, when Will's talking about the headwaters here, he's talking about those little streams, you know, way up in the, in the wooded areas, that are not only attractive to wildlife and everything else, but if they're attractive to wildlife, they're attractive to people. So people want to go in there and they want to build, and they want to have a house perched maybe on the side of a slope, and maybe there's a little meandering stream that comes down there. Well, if you go in there and you disturb that riparian area right there near that little stream up there, and if this bill does pass, it means that a builder may go in and disturb that headwater up there, build in that riparian area, and say, okay, I disturbed this, and so, you know, everything now is flowing into this little tiny stream, but I'll go fix something someplace else. That's the problem.
And if that someplace else is downstream, then you've irreparably damaged it upstream.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
You know,
the
old saw,
that's the part.
20 years ago, the saying was, we all live downstream.
Yep.
And it's true. And even if you are living upstream, you don't want to destroy the beauty and the efficacy of that water, because that's the draw. That's what got you there.
But isn't that the whole question? I mean, that's the whole question as to if this bill passes. That's the question, whether a builder or developer can go in and destroy that upper area or change that upper area in lieu of doing something someplace else. But once that is changed, that changed the whole stream. Everything that water flows into is changed.
If I were a builder, logic would tell me that I would want to sign on to defeating this and to sit down with the environmental and conservation people and come up with a viable plan. Because if we have a sustainable, viable plan in place, I will get more people to come and want to build and be here, because they're coming to an area that has pristine waters. It's a draw. The tourists will come. The economy will grow. And it's to my advantage as a builder. As I said, we're not anti-builder. We're pro-builder. We want people to come here. The whole purpose of our program in Trout Unlimited is to enjoy the resource, and we want as many people as possible to come here and enjoy it, but to do it in a very productive way.
Okay, so that's kind of the genesis of what we're talking here and what we're talking about here. And now this passed the House, and now it's going to the Senate. Well, you know, what can people do out there? Okay, well, so what can people out there, if they want to take part in this, what can they do?
Well, first thing is, people should understand that this is not for hunters and fishermen. It's for everyone who lives here in Pennsylvania, because we all benefit from clean waters. What they can do is go to the patrout.org website, which is the Pennsylvania State Council website, and there are links there, and tell them where their state senators are. We need to have them contact their state senators via mail, email, telephone, etc.
Yeah, within the next... It's coming up quickly.
It's coming up before October 6th, I believe, is when it may come to the floor.
Okay, so you need to do that. Watching the show now, you need to do that. Hey, well, thank you very much for bringing that, that point to us, and talking about 1565. And, we'll see what happens. You've got to be educated about these things, because you've got to know what's happening on both sides of the fence, and certainly now you have a better understanding. We're going to come back and talk with Will a little bit about art. If you're into art, stay tuned. You'll enjoy this next segment.